Good evening, friends. Today we'll discuss various things about whatever is happening now and the kind of new inputs that we're getting. Uh, First of all, what I'd like to say is that it looks like Aditya Thackeray has removed Ministry for Tourism, Environment and Protocol, Government of Maharashtra, from his profile introduction in Twitter. And interestingly, his new avatar is President of Yuva Sena. Is Aditya expecting CBI at his doorstep? Why this sudden change? Or is this a PR stunt to buffer him from public scrutiny at this crucial stage? Just like this soft platform that was offered to Rhea by friendly media yesterday, like India Today, Aaj Tak, and CNN and IBN, are they all trying to protect these people? The interview with Sardesai was more like Coffee with Karan, a Coffee with Karan show, where only the coffee cups and basket were missing. An interview in which Sardesai goes all mushy and almost melts in front of Rhea. So what was this friendly media trying to do? We discovered that they had a very well scripted question answer session, which can hardly be called a hard-hitting interview. In India Today channel, which is, I think, around 45-year-old media house, really had to stoop so low in journalistic standards. Apparently, these soft interviews were orchestrated to whitewash Rhea and was managed by Bollywood director Anurag Kashyap at the behest of her lawyer, Satish Manashinde. Maybe Rhea's lawyer had anticipated that this would be the last chance for her to go to the media before CBI interrogation. Before we go to the main topic, a little bit about this kind of friendly media, which I have been following for the last few years. For ages, this section of friendly media were more involved in attacking Narendra Modi and his policies and supporting the Tukde Tukde gang, the JNU revolt, the award returnees, the placard holders, and so many anti-Indian incidents. This too I consider anti-Indian, by which I mean the Sushant case, because a man dies under suspicious circumstances and the public want the truth. But vested interests want to protect the criminals, which does not make India safe. Now, Bollywood has become the target as media TRPs have gone down due to the fact that most people are watching channels like Times Now and Republic for the truth. So coming back to the interview, Rajdeep Sardesai tried his best to look like a combination of Sherlock Holmes and Oprah Winfrey, which means oscillating between tough and soft questions, while unseen tears fell copiously from Rhea's eyes. The audience did not know how to react to this melodrama. What was strange was that Rhea said she fell in love with Sushant's innocence. Well, Rhea, it was this innocence that you killed, metaphorically, or whatever. You lied when you said that he had a fear for flying, and you were confronted by 100 images and posts in social media showing Sushant flying or skydiving. Rhea, you also said that he was depressed. You made him consult 5 psychiatrists. What is with this number 5? Even in Cooper Hospital, there were 5 doctors who did the postmortem. And when CBI came, they all disappeared mysteriously. Rhea says, he consulted Dr. Kersey Chawla, who is a friend of Mahesh Bhatt, and Sushant was declared depressed and given medicines to combat it. If she felt sad and was looking after him like a mother, why did she not tell his father and sisters to help him out? Why was she isolating them from him? And after she left Sushant, why did she text Mahesh Bhatt thanking him for unclipping her wings? Now she's forgotten all this and created new stories in this interview to malign Sushant, calling him a drug addict, his sister a lesbian who molested her, his father as indifferent to him and never bothered about him in the last 5 years, and in stark contrast, describing herself as an innocent soul who had contemplated suicide in the last 2 months. She did not add a pinch of salt, but a bag full of salt to her story and gave it joyfully to Rajdeep Sardesai, who is by now known for his fake stories, for which he has apologized also several times. Now, a dead man cannot speak, can he? Rhea even subtly suggests he may have been gay. I don't know whether you noticed that, because of his love for her brother, which made him feel like us, made her feel like a sultan, and that he had taken some men friends with him on a vacation in a private jet to the Far East before this. Here she seems to be hinting that he was gay as well. And because he was sick, he was taken to Waterstone Resort. God alone knows what sort of drugs or medicines were administered to him during this period. In fact, interestingly, a neighbor is said to have accused Rhea of keeping Sushant in her house for 3 months after they returned from their trip to Europe. Is this true? I'm asking Rhea. She intersperses her interview with emotional moments like saying her mother is going to be hospitalized or that she wanted a child from Sushant who looked like a smaller version of him. What's more, she gave a clean report to Rajdeep Sardesai and India Today for being a neutral channel and Mumbai police for their clean investigation. It is here that irony dies 100 deaths. People were really shocked. She says people have made Sushant's murder a joke. Rhea, if the public had not raised this issue in chorus with news channels and prominent people joining in, this would have died a quiet death. When she says in the end, truth will prevail and joins hands with Sardesai to end with Satyame Jayate, we know how sinister their plans are and how it has failed miserably. If 1 billion Indians had not fought daily, 24/7 for justice for Sushant, today, CBI, the Narcotics Department, and ED would not have got involved. In fact, this kind of friendly media has covered up so many cases of cold-blooded murder, like that of Suranda Pushkar and Jia Khan, and a million others. That is their job. They are paid heavily and own luxurious homes with all the paraphernalia, with guards and swimming pools. They don't care two hoots about morals, values, or truth, or about you and me. This media are the propaganda builders used to make characters like Rhea look soft and vulnerable, so that people will never forget people will forget her true nature. As a journalist, what I could make out of this interview was that she comes across as a hardcore criminal without an iota of emotion in her for Sushant or his family. Any other woman who has been called so many times by ED would have cracked down by now, but not Rhea. She's an actress in the full sense. She knows what clothes to wear for effect and match her expressions to suit them. CBI Nupur, I think, will need to use all her might to make her confess to the truth. At the ED office, she looks proud to be escorted in and out by a group of policemen and women. So then you would ask, what is her strength? It's obvious that it's the Maharashtra government and Mumbai police backing her with some very top Bollywood figures. At every stage, she has been protected and she has some trump card that is making people around her shiver in this manner. In fact, one writer said that when he was trying to trail her brother, 2 big black four-wheelers blocked his path. This is the kind of protection they get. However, this morning we saw her true side. Her aggressive nature was exposed as she elbowed media, in particular Republic media, when she arrived for questioning at CBI guest house. Anyway, what I can conclude is that her interview received flack as it was streamed and after that as well. So the PR exercise failed miserably. Coming to the Sushant murder case. The Sushant murder case looks like a deadly cocktail of sex, drugs, deceit, money laundering, anti-national activity by underworld, scripting of Bollywood movies that are anti-Indian, trafficking, and murder. The WhatsApp verified chats revealed by the mainstream media like Republic and Times Now have given much clarity in this part of the case. So in a nutshell, this is what would have happened in Sushant's case. Rhea was a honey trap planted by Bollywood mafia and underworld gangs to target Sushant through talent agencies and PR companies. Reasons being that he was not compliant to a drug and trafficking cartel that had most of the superstars and other smaller actors in their pocket. And he was a man who definitely knew too much. Plus, he was a major threat to most of the star kids because of his talent. So what does Rhea do? Under instructions, Rhea drugs Sushant, according to the WhatsApp chats, with high doses of banned drugs like CBD and MBD, robs him of his wealth, which would then have been shared with her masters. Then she maligns him and his family, and then makes way for the killers to step in, take all his data in 8 hard disks, and finally murder him. A scenario that obviously involves top politicians and Bollywood fraternity. So let us start from the beginning. Rhea was apparently being managed by Quan Management Talent Agency, where Disha Salian and Jaya Saha were. You remember in my earlier videos, I had mentioned that Salman Khan's company, UBT, had taken over Big Bang Media and Quan, and that Anirban Das, co-founder of Quan, was about to commit suicide because he was exposed in the Me Too movement, where he tried to molest 4 women who were aspirants for modeling or acting. Remember, the company Quan Management Talent Agency used to scout for talent and groom these boys and girls into models, actors, and actresses, and also manage their portfolio. While it was said that Anirban was removed from the company, some news sources say that he's still there in the backstage. He was not thrown out. In fact, he brought in a new crop of people, which included Jaya Saha, the lady who features in Rhea's WhatsApp chats. As you will note, in these chats, Jaya Saha is supposed to be arranging for drugs to be supplied to Rhea and giving her the exact dosage to be given to Sushant, as in drops in tea, water, or coffee. By which does it mean that Quan hires women as honey traps to work according to their bosses and do any kinds of deeds, however deadly they are? If it is yes, then we understand why Jaya Saha is featuring in this. The fact is that Rhea has known Salman's family for a very long time and has been interacting with his sister Arpita and him from the videos and pictures we see on internet. Disha Salian was also, as we said, working in Quan and Touchstone, which was owned by Sohail Khan's brother-in-law, Bunty, and which is a PR company. This is where Disha and Rhea would have met Sandeep Singh, who became a producer of many films like Sarabjit Singh. This is also where Disha would have met Suraj Pancholi, a protege and yes man of Salman Khan, and son of Aditya Pancholi. Speaking about the connection between Salman Khan and Sushant Singh, why did Salman Khan harbor any enmity towards Sushant? It is reported to have started with a party in Salman's house where Sushant and Suraj Pancholi got into an argument and they then into fistfights. Salman got angry and he fired Sushant and asked him to stay away from Suraj. In many videos after that, we have seen the open hostility between Suraj and Sushant. Remember, Salman had 2 notorious cases, like the killing of the black buck and driving over people in the footpath. His lawyer was the same one defending Rhea now, that is Satish Manashinde. Suraj too was in and out of jail in the Jia Khan death case, which her mother said was a murder and not a suicide, where she openly blamed Salman Khan and Suraj Pancholi. This is how Sushant came on the radar of Salman Khan. It was also said that many of Sushant's films were taken away because Salman had ordered the Bollywood producers to do so. So this could be the time when 7 production homes would have banned him from films. We've all read about this, and this was the first step to realize that injustice was being done to Sushant Singh. This shows also the fact that how powerful Salman Khan is in Bollywood. But then most superstars have their own camps where they protect and nurture the people they want. For example, in Salman Khan's camp, attempts to launch and subsequently resurrect the acting career of his brothers Arbaz and Suhail Khan failed, as audiences saw through their lack of talent. Apart from launching his favorite star kids like Sonam and other actors and actresses, he also tried to help Suraj Pancholi by launching him in a movie, which also failed. Salman was also trying to relaunch Ayush Sharma, his sister's Arpita's husband, after his terrible performance in Love Yatri. But all this failed. And as we all know, ultimately audiences go only by talent, which Sushant had in plenty. Probably this would have been the reason why people like Salman and other superstars, directors, and actors have been in the eye of the storm since Sushant's death, as people feel they are responsible for the creation of this Bollywood mafia, which needed cleaning up. And ensuring Sushant gets justice would act as the final nail in the Bollywood mafia coffin. Now, returning to the drug scene where Rhea was administering drugs to Sushant. As per the WhatsApp conversation shown in Times Now, CBD is a cannabis sativa plant, which is also known as marijuana. And MBD, which is ecstasy, is often called the love pill because it heightens perception of color and sound. It amplifies sensations during sex. It often contains hallucinogens, which can throw a person into a scary or sad experience from the past, where he or she gets stuck in it without even realizing it. Now, as all of us have been going through the case in detail, there seems a very strong link between Disha and Sushant's case. And it's important we need to go deeper into it. Whatever I reveal now is, again, as I mentioned, in the public domain. Anybody can access it. I'm just putting the points across for a clear picture. So if Sushant was administered such drugs and videotaped in some kind of a compromising position, then the people behind it would have blackmailed him using these videos. Why I'm mentioning this is, if you remember, there was a video where Sushant was being pushed into a car by a man called Imtiaz Khatri, a good friend of Suraj Pancholi. You remember Sushant looked frightened, as if he was being threatened. And this character, Imtiaz, had a glass in his hand of perhaps alcohol as he pushed Sushant. This happened in 2017. Who is Imtiaz? Imtiaz is the son of an influential Bandra builder who owns FA Infrastructure Limited. Started in 2003, and the company is closely connected with Maha Vikas Aghadi, the party ruling Maharashtra. It was reported by NDTV that Mayank Gandhi accused FA Infrastructure of getting 13 contracts in the Konkan region of Maharashtra using certain political contacts. Who are these contacts? They were that this company was handpicked by Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar in 2012. Not just that, it is said that their businesses were linked with money laundering as well. So my question here is that, were they companies like the one that Varun Mathur started with Sushant, that is Insai Venture Private Limited, shell companies that did money laundering, and hence the ED was interrogating Varun Mathur for leads? CBI needs to look at this as well. Talking about Imtiaz Khatri, the builder, he was first introduced into Bollywood by actress Sushmita Sen, and then actress Jacqueline Fernandez as her boyfriend. The same actress who was introduced to films by Salman Khan and who she was very close to. Imtiaz produced a film with the Shiv Sena MLA Pratap Sarnaik and his son. The movie was called Hrudayantar. And interestingly, we also note that later, Salman Khan's bodyguard, Gurmeet Singh or Shera, also joined Shiv Sena last October. Returning to the drug scene, how difficult is it to procure these banned drugs? One would ask. Simple. Over phone calls with the right people. According to the WhatsApp messages in mainstream media, that's what Rhea and her friend Simon Khambata, a designer, dress designer, laughed about the easy access to banned drugs. So was she a drug peddler plus the one overdosing Sushant? And was Shruti Modi and Jaya Saha all part of it? Looks like all these people, Jaya Saha, Shruti Modi, Dipesh Sawant, and the drug seller Gaurav Arya, all worked under the watchful eye of Samuel Miranda, who was also staying with Sushant to supply drugs to Rhea. And what is surprising is that the quantity is not in small packets, plastic packets, as we see in movies, but in bags. 2 bags cost 17,000 rupees and are procured from drug peddlers in places like Dombivli, Mumbai by Dipesh Sawant. These people also use coded language to avoid being noticed, like dogs for adoption, which means drugs, and Wi-Fi for money. A Mumbai-based talent management firm's owner says you cannot have private Bollywood parties in Bollywood without drugs. Anyone in the industry knows that it is done. I can recall the parties hosted by a Bollywood couple that has been separated since. Drugs would be spread out on their table, on a large table, and the binging would start. They'd arrange for a wide variety of drugs, and the wives and the girlfriends would be a part of the merriment. I know of several television producers too who had their own gangs for exclusive parties. Cocaine rules these days. Although smoking pot is also common, so are weed and hash. I see it all the time at Bollywood high-end parties. In 2012, a 45-year-old drug dealer, Bakul Chandria, was arrested by the anti-narcotic cell of the Mumbai crime branch for possessing cocaine from a terrace party, where celebrities and cricket players were caught consuming drugs. About 100 people were detained. Around 86 of them included 2 cricket players and an actor couple. The actor couple tested positive for drugs. And again, the same guy was arrested in 2017 for the same. And these kind of people have all the top stars in their list for a drug supply. We all know that actors like Sanjay Dutt was arrested in 1982 for possession of drugs, after which he went to the US for rehabilitation. Fardeen Khan was arrested with cocaine in the Juhu area of Mumbai in 2001 and had fought a long legal battle because of that. The wife of a superstar was once held at the Berlin airport for possession of marijuana. Why it shocks us is the ease with which drugs are available in Mumbai. It's been reported that drug peddlers target college youth in pubs, disco, and other joints, while slum dwellers also are also prey to such substances and are seen lying in an unconscious state by the roadside. This is what concerns us, as it seeps down to middle classes and poorer sections of society. We worry about the future generations. We know that it was common in Hollywood with a lot of top stars like Ben Affleck, Johnny Depp, Robert Downey, Elton John, all of them being hooked on drugs and then going to drug rehab centers. But now, not only Bollywood, but other film cities are also facing the same problem. The reason for taking drugs, as explained by many in Bollywood on mainstream media, say is that celebrities and high-profile people are more prone to anxiety and stress, and hence they are addicted to drugs. Alcohol and other drugs ease people's fears related to their social, environmental, body image, competency, and effectiveness, and comparative success, plus the need to look good on the red carpet or at major events. Hence, these people find themselves relying more and more on mood-altering substances to take away their anxiety. Slowly, they get hooked and then they need help. Moving from drugs to the fact that a team of 4 to 5 people came to steal Sushant's hardware, as revealed by insiders, and returned with 8 hard disks after wiping out everything in Sushant's computer. So who were these people and who had sent them? What were they looking for in Sushant's computer? And what did they take back with them? As we know, Sushant had 3 patents and was working on a COVID AI app during lockdown. We had asked the questions whether one of the patents had reached BMC doors when Aditya Thackeray launched an AI COVID-based app, to which there was no response. So did the hard drives have information about the patents and also information exposing these drug cartels and traffickers? Remember, pages from his diary were also torn and crucial information that Sushant had stored had disappeared. Now, another important factor that comes into this case concerns trafficking of children and women. There was some information that Disha Salyan had attended a party where women were being supplied to the party goers, all high profile people from political field and from Bollywood. And there was a minor girl whom Disha saved and hid. It has been said that the body of a teenage girl was found in the Arabian Sea shortly after that. Can it be linked to trafficking? And was it the same girl? Is this true? And who has done the investigation here? And can we trust Mumbai police after what has been happening in the Sushant case? And if Disha had informed Sushant about this and the sex party, was Sushant, as his friends saying, planning to hold a press conference to reveal the drug and sex trafficking issue among the higher-ups? Facts that Sushant would have told Rhea, which were then conveyed via Sandeep to the gangs concerned, as per his friend's report. These are the questions which are being asked in social media. Recently, the NCW, which is the National Council for Women, had issued notices to Mahesh Bhatt, Urvashi Rautela, Mauni Roy, and others for recording witness statements on a complaint filed by a social activist, Yogita Bhayana, against a company's promoter for allegedly blackmailing and sexually assaulting girls on pretext of giving them modeling assignments. When shell companies do money laundering, when talent companies do sex trafficking, escort services, and drug supply, when PR companies ensure drugs are supplied to celebrities at parties, all under the garb of decent company names and decent people to look at, when the police looks the other way, it's only the Narcotics Control Department, CBI, and ED that will be able to expose the truth. Hopefully, they'll be able to expose the horror of Sushant and Disha's death and many more hidden murders from the public eye. Now, the only thing which has to come out is the anti-national activity, where stories are scripted to show India in a poor light, where our armed forces are mocked, and where sex and drugs are shown as daily commodities, where our society is shown as immoral, and the funding of national activity through these sources we mentioned. I strongly feel NIA should also join the investigation. Thank you, friends, for giving me a patient ear, and we'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much.